71 and 775 Park Avenue, and numbers 157 and 161 Brunswick Street. Introductory number 96. Any persons desiring to speak in reference to said matter will now be heard.
Seeing no speakers, that hearing is now adjourned.
Pursuant to law, a public hearing will now be had on the following matter: local law authorizing an amendment to the district plan for the High Falls Business Improvement District. Introductory number 97. Any persons desiring to speak in reference to said matter will now be heard.
Seeing no speakers, that hearing is now adjourned.
Pursuant to law, a public hearing will now be had on the following matter: local improvement ordinance authorizing the 2026-27 budget, establishing the 2026-27 assessments, and authorizing an agreement for the High Falls Business Improvement District. Introductory number 98. Any persons desiring to speak in reference to said matter will now be heard.
Seeing no speakers, that hearing is now adjourned.
Pursuant to law, a public hearing will now be had on the following matter: local improvement ordinance establishing the cost of special services for the East Avenue Alexander Street Entertainment District for 2026-27. Introductory number 99. Any persons desiring to speak in reference to said matter will now be heard.
Seeing no speakers, that hearing is now adjourned.
Pursuant to law, a public hearing will now be had on the following matter: local improvement ordinance authorizing special work and services related to the South Avenue Alexander Street Open Space District for 2026-27. Introductory number 100. Any persons desiring to speak in reference to said matter will now be heard.
Seeing no speakers, that hearing is now adjourned.
Pursuant to law, a public hearing will now be had on the following matter: local improvement ordinance establishing the operating and maintenance costs of neighborhood commercial and residential parking areas for 2026-27. Introductory number 109. Any persons desiring to speak in reference to said matter will now be heard.
Seeing no speakers, that hearing is now adjourned.
Pursuant to law, a public hearing will now be had on the following matter: local improvement ordinance for the care and embellishment of street malls for 2026-27. Introductory number 120. Any persons desiring to speak in reference to said matter will now be heard.
Seeing no speakers, that hearing is now adjourned.
Pursuant to law, a public hearing will now be had on the following matter: local improvement ordinance establishing the operating and maintenance costs of special assessments for streetscape enhancements for 2026-27. Introductory number 121. Any persons desiring to speak in reference to said matter will now be heard.
Seeing no speakers, that hearing is now adjourned.
Pursuant to law, a public hearing will now be had on the following matter: local improvement ordinance establishing the cost of the special work and services related to Main Street improvements of the Downtown Enhancement District for 2026-27. Introductory number 122. Any persons desiring to speak in reference to said matter will now be heard.
Seeing no speakers, that hearing is now adjourned.
Pursuant to law, a public hearing will now be had on the following matter: local improvement ordinance providing snow removal and security services at the public market for 2026-27. Introductory number 130. Any persons desiring to speak in reference to said matter will now be heard.
Seeing no speakers, that hearing is now adjourned. We will now begin our Speak to Council session. All speakers will be given 2 minutes at the podium. We respectfully ask that each speaker offer council the same respect they would expect to receive in return. In doing so, please refrain from profanity and other harmful language. Please note that Speak to Council is a time for members of the public to speak to City Council as a body, as a whole, not directly call out any individual members of City Council or city staff. In that vein, please do not direct any comments at any specific individuals on this body or in the room. Council members have the contact information for all of tonight's speakers and may follow up on any concerns that pique their interest. Clerk Washington will lead each or call each speaker to the podium. We ask that you respect the time of those waiting behind you and yield the podium at the end of your allotted 2 minutes. Clerk Washington.
I apologize in advance if I don't quite get your name right. Richard Rosen of the East District is followed by Carl Hoffman. Is Richard Rosen here? Carl Hoffman. And he's from the East District, followed by Deborah Conquest.
Is this good for me? All right. I've lived in the Upper Monroe neighborhood for almost 50 years now. And for most of that time, I've been wondering when Rochesterians would decide that they have a downtown and that center cities are worthwhile. Finally, in the past couple of decades, Rochester has started moving in a direction that I think many cities started moving in long ago. The once beloved but moribund Midtown Plaza was removed, creating an entirely new vista for a lot of the central downtown area. And the inner loop, half of it, which was one of the most underutilized urban highways in the country, I'm sure, has been filled in. To my mind, the city missed an opportunity to turn Union Street into a pedestrian-friendly boulevard, but that's done. But most importantly, all right. Most importantly, there's been a lot of housing built inside the inner loop. In the is this?
There you go.
All right, sorry.
If we give a little bit more time at the end here.
Well, I assume people sort of heard me. But anyway, the most important thing is there's a lot of been housing built inside the inner loop in the past 20 years or so. And I hope that will continue. Now, I think we all know that access to parks and outdoor space plays a large role in making urban life enjoyable and cities places that are enjoyable to live and work. Rochester in the downtown area has Austin Stewart Plaza, the riverfront, Martin Luther King Park, and Washington Square Park, which I read several decades ago was the most utilized park in the city. But the only real green space in the new housing area on Union Street north of East Avenue, which has dozens of new housing units, is the tiny undeveloped area at the corner of Charlotte and Union. And for years now, the neighborhood residents have been using that area as a de facto park, and they call it the East End Green. There's now an active proposal for developing this space for housing, but I hope that City Council will decide that it's a better idea to use it as a park. Taxable housing acreage is important to any city, but reserving acreage for public use is a way to make an area more attractive and therefore more valuable. Thank you.
Is kind of not so sensitive, rather. So you got to kind of get right in and speak into it, and then we'll be able to hear you. But use your theater voice and get close to it. Don't be afraid of it. Thank you.
Deborah Conquest. Jill Orbach is from the East District, followed by Marguerite Hernandez Amoza.
Thank you. Good evening. President Melendez, members of the council, my name is Jill Orbach, and I live at 50 Charlotte Street. I'm here tonight to speak for a piece of land that has become the heart of our neighborhood. The green space at 125 Charlotte Street, known to us as the East End Green. Rochester is growing, and with growth comes density. But as our streets get more congested, our need for breathing room becomes a matter of public health. The East End Green is our only local, no-cost gathering space. On any given day, you will see a beautiful cross-section of Rochester there. Low-income residents, Eastman students, and families grabbing coffee from Ugly Duck. This isn't just grass, it is social infrastructure. It is where we build the community bonds that reduce crime, foster resilience, and make people actually want to live in the city. The Rochester 2034 Comprehensive Plan explicitly identifies green space as a top priority for our citizens. By preserving 125 Charlotte Street, you aren't just doing us a favor, you are fulfilling the city's own promise to its people. You are choosing to follow the roadmap you already laid out for a sustainable, livable Rochester. I ask you tonight to formally designate this lot as a permanent community green space. At the very least, I propose a compromise. Keep the East End Green intact until the Inner Loop North project provides a functional, finished public place to
Time
replace
is
it.
up.
Thank you.
Marguerite Hernandez Amoza is followed by Carly Smith.
Yes, I live at 120 Charlotte Street, right across from the park. When I first moved there, when they finished building 120, it was nothing but a giant empty rubble lot, fenced in. And when Channel 9 came to us with the city people and asked us what did we want it there, that's what we asked for. The way you see that park is what we asked for. And it's also valuable to School 58 for the children, for the School of the Arts for the children, for the Eastman Theater. Let them do their homework and their practice there. Okay, I was listening to one of my neighbors saying that there's laws against that. That shouldn't be. That's what that space is there for. Okay, downtown is already cluttered. We don't need no more clutter. We need space, green space, for all of us to enjoy, young and old, handicapped, because they do have handicap entrances and stuff there, okay, for the people to utilize that space. And I want that space to stay like it is. I'm 71 years old, and I voted to have that spot right there, and I would like for it to stay there for the future of my grandchildren and all the people of the city of Rochester. And a lot of the events can be held down there, from the Jazz Festival, the Fringe Festival, and all the festival that the city provides. Okay, as far as building and building and building, there is no parking space for people to park when they built on more buildings down there. There is none. It's all congestion. We don't need congestion and clutter. We need open space. Thank you, and God bless.
Carly Smith. Carly Smith is from the East District, followed by Sean Dunwoody.
We need the grass to grow and the oxygen to flow. We need open land that breathes with us, not more concrete that closes us in. My name is Carly Schmitz. I'm a 33-year-old lifelong Rochester resident. I'm here tonight because of the green space on Pitkin Street. It not only matters to me, but to the people who live here, who walk here, who raise their kids here, and still hold hope for the city. In a time when so many of us are carrying fear, stress, and uncertainty, taking away one of the new few places where neighbors can gather, breathe, fresh air, and feel safe will only make things harder. The research is clear. A citywide study in Philadelphia looked at more than 500 vacant lots. When those lots were simply greened, planted with grass and a few trees, the surrounding neighbors saw a 29% decrease in gun violence. Residents reported a 58% decrease of going outside, fear of going outside. Green spaces don't just look nice, they make communities safer. They give kids a place to play. They give elders a place to walk. They give all of us a place to breathe. When a lot becomes a private development, it creates walls. It removes eyes on the street. But when a lot becomes a pocket park, it invites connection, it invites community care, and that's what neighbors need to keep them strong. I'm asking you to protect this land, to protect the people who rely on it, and to choose what strengthens this neighborhood and what divides it. Please keep this green space open, safe, and accessible for everyone who calls this
Your time is
community
up.
home. Thank you.
Sean Dunwoody is from the Northeast District, followed by Liz Chaffick.
Good evening, Council. Great to see you all this evening. Name is Sean Dunwoody, the developer of this project, grew up down the street, who's looking to build 11 units, for sale, affordable homes. Myself and my partner and my team have worked hard behind the scenes to make sure we can get numbers down, make things affordable, put neighbors back that were taken away when that highway was created. And I'm asking you, we applied for an RFP that the city put out for land, and we felt that home ownership would fit that mold best. Affordable home ownership would fit that mold best. We applied, and we were awarded that movement forward. And now, in order for us to move forward, we need site control to give you exact numbers, to move exact numbers, and to get exact people in place. So we're asking you for site control so that we can move this forward. Let's try something new. Let's try something different. That's what I'm asking of you, Council. Thank you very much.
Liz Shaffick is from the East District, followed by Aaron Graham.
Hi, my name is Liz and I live on Charlotte Street. Tonight I'm using my time to speak for a few of the neighbors I ran into out on the green just yesterday because they couldn't be here. Thursday evenings are when a lot of people have recovery meetings, work, or kids at home who need them. Some of my neighbors face physical and mental health barriers that make showing up to a meeting like this simply not possible. Their absence tonight is not indifference. They care deeply about keeping the green space at 125 open and free. They want you to vote no on this sale. While they couldn't speak tonight, they welcome you to follow up with them directly at the contact info each has provided. I put it over there. Here goes. Pam says, I hope it stays green because it helps me with my mental health being able to come out and be part of nature and walk my dog. It would be a crime for them to take away this tiny piece of grass. Gloria, also from 120 Charlotte, says, I think that we need to keep that green area because it's alive. It's alive. All the government does right now is keep us trapped. Let us live and breathe a little bit. That's it. We don't ask for much. We don't ask for too much. A little peace, please. Keep the green area on Charlotte Street, please. Roy, I live here at 270 on East. There's not enough green space already, and now they're taking the little bit we have. We don't need more buildings. We need more functional areas. Angelina, Noah will tear our house apart if he doesn't have somewhere to move around. Tell them how much we need this space. I need that space for my mental health too, and all my kids need it more than me. Just please tell them. Show them the video of the music or the kids playing. I need them to listen. We need them to listen. Robert.
Aaron Graham. Aaron Graham. Mark Wilson is from the East District.
Mark Wilson, city resident for 34 years, including 5 years on St. Paul Street, where I first met Sean Dunwoody. My wife, my dog, and I often picnicked at High Falls Green Space. And one time, Sean was there with a few people painting his mural. He came over to us somewhat surprised and with open arms said, "This represents exactly what we want. Community gathering places where people come together." He wondered how we became fans of the park. He said, "Well, it's nothing special. We live here." I've been a fan ever since that day, including joining Sean's enthusiasm for creating a new Rochester world after Interloop North. And as with most green people, I salute the creativity of the Hinge housing experiment. We all agree that green spaces must be intermixed with development as well-known, best demonstrated practice for successful downtown living. The original plans for the Interloop Union fill-in required green openings. So far, we are replacing a 100-year ditch with a 100-year wall of buildings. Just because 125 Charlotte had a one-time plan to build, that does not mean it must build. Digging the Interloop roadway was also at one point a plan. I urge the council to visit the green space. I'm happy to meet you there. Consider actually turning it into a park. Drive around the mixed income area. Consider finding a nearby spot for Sean and Suzanne's Interloop experiment that's win-win for the next 100 years.
Jeffrey Smith. Jeffrey Smith is from the East District, followed by Carly Fisgold.
Hi, my name is Jeffrey Smith, and I have lived at 120 Charlotte Street for 6 years, and I love it there. My balcony overlooks the East End Green, and on your shoulders is what could happen to it. What we have now is at 275 East Avenue, 120 apartments, and then there's more apartments, about 72 apartments just north of the East End Green, and then the apartments we live in. Between that, there's almost 300 apartments. How much more do we need? We're asking for a small green space where I've seen people hold weddings from there's a venue over there where the Arbor House, where they have weddings, and then they go to the green and they have their pictures taken there in their wedding dress and everything. And then there's people that come there and play Frisbee games with their dogs. People come out from the Ugly Duck and sit there. It's just a nice, relaxing area. Why take it away? Why do we need more apartments? We don't. Now, all these people behind me have told you about how the neighborhood needs green space. It's just good for their mentality. It's good for their heart. It's just good to look out and see green grass in a city, a bustling city like Rochester. It's on your shoulders, people. It's on your shoulders. Think. Come to the East End Green. See how beautiful it is. Like I say, I've been there 6 years and I love it. We also have a lot of things that could be also added to their chess tables. You know what kind of crowd chess tables bring? They bring a real smart crowd, a real mental crowd. So think about it, okay? Thank you.
Carly is from the East District, followed by Linda Riley.
Hello, my name is Carly Fishgold. I live in 14610, just at the other end of University Avenue, and I'm a near daily user of East End Green. I've also helped develop 45 East Avenue, 74 University, 12 Windsor, 475 East Main. Not my personal investment, but I helped with them. All renovations of existing properties designed to restore the character of the neighborhood. I also have an RCSD student with friends who live right across from East End Green at Charlotte Square. I want to address something directly. Opposing this development does not mean opposing black, brown, older, or low-income neighbors moving in. The people who use this space every day, putting out their folding chairs, walking their dogs, rolling up in wheelchairs, watching their kids and grandkids play, they are those neighbors, and they already live there, as evidenced by a lot of the people talking tonight. They deserve the same right to green space that wealthier parts of Rochester maybe take for granted just a tenth of a mile down the street. Now, I've heard the term NIMBY thrown out in this conversation this week, not in my backyard, right? Well, I have a backyard, but my kids' friends at Charlotte Square don't. This green space is their yard. And if you take that away, these kids are gonna have to cross East Main or East Ave for space to run around, and they're not gonna do that. So real equity is housing and green space, I believe. Rochester has the land, the vacant properties, the funding, and the stated commitments to do both. East End Green is what families like mine are just a bike ride away from. To keep showing up, it makes us want to make friends in this space. This parcel is already serving its purpose to undo redlining policy by bringing the community together. So maybe, what do we want? What could this be? A playground, a pavilion with shade, picnic tables, trees, a butterfly garden, a drinking fountain. To the team at Hinge, I think you guys should build your housing, but build it somewhere it won't cost our current neighbors the yard they've got. Please keep East End green. Thank you.
Linda Riley is from the South District, followed by Angelo Benitez.
My name is Linda Riley, and I'm here to speak about 125 Charlotte Street. My husband and I have lived in the city of Rochester for 51 years. I taught in the city schools for 15 years. We sent our 2 children to K through 12 city schools. When we were ready to downsize, we moved downtown to Charlotte Street, where we have lived for the past 7.5 years. Tonight I want to talk about city parks, specifically the small neighborhood parks that are scattered across the city. They are public green spaces shared by neighbors, young and old, and they help foster a sense of pride and community. Most likely you visited 1 or 2 of these spaces. Have you been to the Dachshund Parade in Washington Square Park? Residents living around Susan B. Anthony Park are fortunate to hear the RPO play a summertime concert or attend the 19th Amendment Festival in August. Maybe you've had a picnic and watched the 4th of July fireworks from Wadsworth Square. If you live in the 19th Ward, you have most likely attended Square Fair in Aberdeen Square. What all of these parks, plus numerous other pocket parks across the city, have in common is they offer folks a green space for enjoying free entertainment, for meeting their friends and neighbors, watching their children, or simply enjoying fresh air, open sky, trees, and grass. In our park, we've seen kids tossing footballs, frisbees, entertainers from the Fringe Festival rehearsing, wedding parties posing, birthday parties, pizza parties, and spontaneous jam sessions. Small urban parks help people feel settled, help them feel like valued citizens of a neighborhood and town. Our neighbors are here tonight to tell you that this is what the East End Green means to them. Please help us support our vision for 125 Charlotte Street. Thank you.
Angelo Benitez. Angelo Benitez. From the East District, followed by Jacob Effick.
Good evening, everybody. I'm definitely about saving the park. There's just so much congestion and traffic around there as it is, and it just doesn't make sense, not just the clutter. I mean, I do landscaping, and that's part of what I do. I mean, we pick up at that park, we clean, we make friends, we meet new people and stuff. And take a look around you. All these people behind me stand for something. And as far as exact numbers, I've been doing landscaping 40 years. And when it comes to building and construction, don't get tossed by somebody else saying something to you. Thank you.
Jacob is from the East District, followed by Chris Murray.
My name is Jacob Shafiq, and I live on Charlotte Street near the green space. I grew up in poverty, intimately familiar with both the risks of housing insecurity and the value of free public spaces. I broke a generational cycle of poverty thanks in part to policies that public officials like you put in place. Just as importantly, thanks to people that not only cared, but had the awareness to notice and the capacity to be a constant in a life where little else was. I met those people in local libraries and public parks. These connections were only possible because of a communal space existed to form them. The green space at 125 Charlotte has become that communal space for my neighborhood. Children play here, adults gather, neighbors look out for one another. We don't have individual yards, but rather this green space and the density around it. We've been told to use Anderson Park. I invite you to visit. Functioning as a traffic island at the intersection of 3 busy roads, it does not make for a natural gathering space. Before our green space existed, children didn't go to Anderson, they played in the street. We've been told to wait for the green space at the World of Inquiry. My understanding is that land will be sold, and World of Inquiry has indicated that they'd like to use it for parking, and nothing prevents them from doing so once it's theirs. If it is built, the reality remains. We cannot use that green space now, as it does not exist, and the children playing on our green space today will no longer be children when or if it is built. In the city of Rochester, where we at present have no shortage of vacant land, unused surface lots, and neglected buildings, we should not succumb to the false choice being presented, that we can only build housing if we pave over parks. We need both, and there is space for both. The two do not and should not be in opposition to one another. Please continue to build affordable housing in our neighborhood and be intentional about it. Consider the current and future residents you're building for. Building housing is hard. Building community is harder. The city tries to manufacture it. Here, it's happening organically by accident. Don't pave over that. Don't complete the wall along Union. Don't pave over a green space. Please keep the East End green. Thank you.
Chris Murray is from the East District, followed by Suzanne Mayer.
Good evening, council members. I'm here to speak in support of preserving the small green park and against replacing it with 11 townhouses. I want to address something directly. I've been hearing people calling us NIMBYs. That label suggests selfishness or privilege. I make less than $20,000 a year on SSDI. So I'm not standing here wealthy, wanting property values to go up. I'm standing here because public green space matters deeply to people who have the least access to green space. For many residents, especially low-income families, seniors, renters, and children, parks are not a luxury. Are not a luxury. They are our backyards, our gathering places, our breathing room. Not everyone has a large yard, a private garden, or money to travel elsewhere for recreation. This small park may look minor on paper, but in daily life, it provides shade, exercise, community connection, and mental relief. I want to be clear, I support building housing, especially affordable housing. We need more housing for low-income families. But growth should be smart growth. This city owns and has access to hundreds of other properties. Then why choose one that few shared green spaces the public already depends on? Housing and green spaces are not enemies. A city can build homes while also protecting places that make neighborhoods livable. Once a park is gone, it's gone for good. Buildings can be placed elsewhere. Maturing trees, open land to run and play, community gathering spaces cannot be easily replaced. Please do not frame this as a housing versus compassion. Preserving public space is a compassion too.
Suzanne is from the East District, followed by Justin Smith.
Actually, I think I'm in the northeast. I'm at
Northeast?
14605.
Okay.
I live
thank you.
downtown. My name is Suzanne Mayer. I'm with Hinge Neighbors. I have 4 words for you to remember and think about tonight: home ownership, green lining, prototype, location. Home ownership leads to commitment to the neighborhood and stability of the neighborhood. We spoke to the landlord of all the businesses next to the 125. He agrees that we need more home ownership in the area. Greenlining. We believe in reparation. We don't have 40 acres and a mule, but we have this creative project set before you that we think would apply. Prototype. This brings hope to all of Rochester. It leads the city and the nation to think differently and to believe that this is possible. Location. I want to comment on the criticisms that we have. Great project, wrong location, and the suggestion that we move to another zip code or another area that's not as desirable. We know, and you know, it is right location for green lining, for hope, for an answer to our issues of racism and NIMBYism in the city. And it is the right project to prototype what Rochester can be, multicultural. We are neighbors in action, not neighbors in stopping a very progressive and achievable and affordable project. I hope that you vote yes for the sale. Thank you.
Justin Smith is from the Northeast District, followed by Hun Trin.
Hello, my name is Justin Schmidt, and I'm a resident and homeowner in Rochester, New York, and I'm here today to voice my support for the Hinge Homes at 125 Charlotte Street. My decision to participate in the session did not come easy. Many of my friends and some of my clients openly support the agenda of Keep East End Green, and I've been following this project for the last several months, and I certainly have talked a lot of smack online, but I'm here. And a lot of people before me have said things that I align with, but this is my number one issue: affordable home ownership for the people in this neighborhood. And I don't want to see other residents have to go through being priced out of a neighborhood like I was. When I came back to Rochester, I lived in the South Wedge neighborhood for a few years, and I was living and working there. And when it came time for me to buy a house, I simply could not find something within my budget. So I ended up rerouting and moving to a different part of the city, moving into an old house that needed a whole lot of work, and I spent tens of thousands of dollars trying to fix it up. When I look at the Hinge project, I see that these homes are modern, state-of-the-art, and efficient. The owners will not have to spend thousands of dollars on repairs like I did, and they're getting something turnkey. I feel like 11 families having an opportunity to build equity and also see a return on their investment through an optional ADU is really unique to our city. I think that they need a way to invest in this neighborhood. I think it will heal some of the wounds caused by urban renewal of the 50s and 60s. People have referred to these affordable homes as a wall, but I just see it as connective tissue. I just don't think green space is the highest and best use for this area. I see in the city plan that we're going to have an expansion of Olmsted's Anderson Park, and it's also going to be continued behind the School of Inquiry. This neighborhood stands to gain some of the most impressive and new green space projects in the next decade, and I implore you to move forward with Hinge's proposal. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Hun Trin. Is Hun Trin here? Rory Van Grue from the East District, followed by Alex White.
Hello. I'm Rory Van Grol, and I'm here to talk about the proposed development for the green space at 125 Charlotte Street. I'm the owner of Ugly Duck Coffee, and we are the only current retail business directly facing the proposed development. We interact with our neighbors daily and hear what they think, and you heard some of what they thought tonight. Because of those interactions, I recognize it's a big ask, but I ask it of you anyway, to reconsider these development plans. Last summer was the full summer and only spring-summer season with the green space. If you have spent some time, not just driving by or 10 minutes out of a week, but if you have spent some real time around the area, just like some of these residents, you would see how folks from the neighborhood have interacted with the green space organically. We have seen birthday parties, cookouts, impromptu musical performances, kids playing, dog walking, frisbee, golfing, and so much more. Is the current design of this green space well thought out, a good idea? No, it's not. But it's the only place in the immediate area that is meeting the current needs of its residents. I believe that Suzanne and Sean care deeply for the city of Rochester, and I respect them for putting forward a thoughtful proposal that addresses a need for equitable home ownership in Rochester. I also recognize that there is no perfect or ideal solution that will please everyone, but I hope decision makers consult directly with those who will be affected by this development to understand the needs and feelings of the people who currently live, work, and play right now directly in the green space. I am asking the city of Rochester to reconsider the development of 125 Charlotte, even if just to provide time for the developers, city, and neighbors to work together to come up with a solution. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Alex White is from the South District, followed by Don Noto.
Greetings, Council. My name's Alex White, and I live on South Clinton Avenue. At first glance, the project, the First Genesis project, seems like something I'd like. It actually has probably the potential for 18 very low-income units, which would be 6 times what you've done in what has happened in the last 5 years. I love that. This is a project I could almost get behind. But the problem with this project is you're giving money to it. It is a $50 million project that already has $45.8 million from state and federal government going into it. It is getting $1.8 million of loans only, which is paid off, which is going to be paid off at a relatively low rate. And the developer is taking a developer fee of $6.5 million, which is more than all the remaining other funding needed. This project is already fully funded. And you're planning on giving them $500,000 of loans and more than $20 million of tax breaks on a fully funded project. Why? It doesn't make any sense. It might have these 18 low rent units, but they could get away with renting them for $910. You are aware that the Section 8 housing is $440? You really should instead use city median income rather than area median income, and you could even use a formula in which you use the HUD project numbers and multiply them by city median income divided by area median income before you give any money to any project. I highly encourage you to consider that so that we can actually build housing that houses the over 700 homeless people we have in this city. Thank you.
Don Noto from the Northwest District, followed by Janet Dixon.
Good evening. Thank you for having this discussion tonight. I'm here from the Design Center, the Community Design Center of Rochester, and I have to read a quote from Jane Jacobs. Cities have the capability of providing something for everybody only because and only when they are created by everybody. That principle remains relevant today. The Rochester advances the goals of the Rochester 2034 Comprehensive Plan, and access to public space is essential. especially in growing neighborhoods like the Inner Loop East. This small green space supports walkability, neighborhood identity, health, and community life. The Inner Loop East was redeveloped just 10 years ago, and with 500 new residents and over 800 to maybe 1,000 people living there, the RFP process for this in September did not launch any community engagement effort. We know that we've invited all this new development to this area, yet we haven't invested in the community we just brought there. We haven't asked them their opinion. We haven't asked the general community's opinion at all on this subject. You are selecting from one RFP that was brought to you by the mayor's administration. You didn't get to see all the proposals, as I understand. So I think to take a pause and to take a reflection point of the Inner Loop development would be a good pause. Let's have a community dialogue. Let's have a community charrette. We do those things. I would help facilitate at low to no cost. Because this is something I actually brought to Jeremy Cooney last summer, that when we do this great international fill-in of our Inner Loop, we didn't have any look back at it. We didn't quantify our successes, or what was the metrics and measurements that we used once we created this land and sold it off and brought all those people there. So for me, an opportunity must be considered with a broader context of community engagement before we do anything with parcels of land that people are enjoying. Obviously, you see it, you hear it tonight, and I'm fully supportive of their efforts. Thank you.
Janet is from the East District, followed by Alex Bush.
Good evening, panel, everyone on the city. Could you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm here also. I'm a retired neighbor that's living. I live here. I've lived here in this area for 3 years before the park was there, and I see this park as a place where we need. The city of Rochester sees this space as a plot for development, but everyone in this area is desperately want to keep this space for our community. It's our meeting place to connect as neighbors. It's a safe gathering place for us. And when we allow our parks to get taken away, we lose more than just a green place to connect. So as neighbors, we join here to save our local park. Finally, it's about our accessibility. For many of us, it's our recreation, our community center, within walking distance. So we ask the city to stand with us and reach out to our council members to keep our park. Thank you.
Alex Bush from the East District.
Hello, my name is Alex Bush. I'm a member of the Lock 66 neighborhood. I'm here tonight to implore you to please save the East End green space at 125 Charlotte Street. For the majority of our species' existence, humanity has coexisted with nature. It is only the last 150 years or so that we have become, both literally and metaphorically. Many of us have watched as infrastructure promised to connect us has torn apart, shuttered local businesses, and separated us more than ever before. Roads designed for quick transportation are paved over parks for afternoon relaxation. Trees that home birds and provide fresh air are chopped down for light poles with no room left to spare. Fields run and play in the sun are lost, and there's nowhere else available for them to have fun. If we desire to create a world, a society, and a community where we accept each other as people, we must accept ourselves as human first. We must protect the gift of green grass and towering trees, full flowers in the spring and brown leaves in the fall. We need to connect to our original humanity to create a functioning society. If we forget how to feel human through the basic mean of connecting to nature, we will forget how to connect to each other as people. It is imperative that we protect what publicly accessible green space exists. We need to maintain our connection to maintain our communities. If we work together, we can create a future of peace, prosperity, and never-ending potential for the future of our families, our friends, and our city. Please keep East End green.
Richard Finkelman. Richard Finkelman. Oscar Brewer. Nina B. Coates. From the Northeast District.
I'm Nina B. Coates. I live in the 14605 area. I just would like to say, help me to understand, after calling 311 for the past 5 weeks, me and 6 of my other neighbors, where there's a city lot that sits on the corner of Robert and Joseph. I stay 2 houses from that corner, and on the Clinton, and it's another city lot. Why has it been 6 weeks we've been calling and the trash hasn't been picked up? Are they short of people? Because I got family members that need a job that can probably help out. And it's just the filth that is plaguing in the neighborhood. I'm a taxpayer. Every time I look around, my taxes is going up. But going up for what? Help, I mean, if you just take a drive through the 14605 and the 14621, because we're connected, and just see what I'm talking about, maybe you'll help me to understand. I've also contacted our councilman personally and told him what's going on. So I'm coming here now. This is my next step. After that, I'm going to contact the news, and we're going to travel, and then I'm going to go to the mayor, because something got to give. I know that I stay in a low poverty area, but because I stay there doesn't mean that I'm a low poverty person. If I don't have nothing else, I have respect, and my name is Nina. Thank you.
Albert Agarin from the East District, followed by Mercedes Vasquez Simmons.
I'm here tonight to plead for help. When I see seniors and I see low-income families struggling to put food on the table because the RGNB is so high that they have to choose between feeding their families or paying RG&E. Seniors are struggling to see if they have to cut back also on paying their medicines, the co-pay they pay, because the bills are coming too high. I had spoken to probably 20, 30 people this month. I had done an investigation on my own and talked to people, and they're pleading for help. Folks, we have a serious problem with RG&E. Our folks can't afford that. And eventually, in about a couple of weeks from now, most of them will get cut off. Miguel, you know you got $500,000 for a study. I talked to Just Metro. I met with them. I talked to them. I know that the county's got another $500,000. I know that you guys are saying if the city doesn't put it, we're not going to put it. So it's like a chess game going back and forth. But I ask you tonight, Miguel, be better than them. Release the money. Thank you.
Mercedes Vasquez Simmons. Linda Caromo from the Northeast District.
Good evening, everyone. I'm advocating now for the poor, and I'm the president of the City Tenants Association. My complaint is, where's the money? You can't hear me? Okay, you can put my time back? Okay, I advocate for the poor. I'm the president of the Sibley Tennis Association. My complaint is, where's the check, where's the money? I'm advocating for a disabled client who lost their job due to medical reason. They was approved for $8,992 in back rent, promised to receive a check on 2/27/26 and 3/13/25 The 31326 to avoid eviction. Where's the money? Where's the check? I'm concerned because this is taxpayer money that is given to help those families that are in need. I'm calling for a full investigation of the Father Tracy Center under Beatrice LeBons Harris and who received funding from Flipper. I am very concerned because I don't know if you realize it or not, but in most cases, this is not right because housing is a human right. When we get to the point that we're using taxpayer money to fund people to give out taxpayer money under the right guidelines and then they revoke, that is not good and cause people to be placed in a homeless situation. Lastly, I don't know if many of you seen the report on CBS 47 Fox News. Eviction assistant revoke. A 22-year-old mother with a 4-year-old was forced into eviction. That's sad. So I'm asking for a full-blown investigation because this is taxpayer money under Flipper. Where's the money and where's the check?
Gwendolyn Nesmith. Sarah Single. From the East District.
I'm Sarah Single, a member of Color Rochester Green. I live in downtown Rochester, and I ask City Council to pass a memorializing resolution supporting New York's climate law, the CLCPA, Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. First, I thank you all for your community service. Climate change is here in Rochester. Floods, droughts, wild weather changes, tornado threats, excessive heat. Reacting to the human and structural damage of these events is expensive, and these effects will only get worse. Looking the other way doesn't help, and neither does putting off needed action. People who contribute least to the greenhouse gases responsible for climate change are often disproportionately affected. The CLCPA, passed in 2019, stipulates that 35% of the money for clean energy and energy efficiency will go to disadvantaged communities. Some will say that percentage is too high. We need you, City Council, to send the message that we need to protect our community, and 35% for the people who need it most is not too much. When will Rochester be able to boast that we are carbon neutral? Buildings and transportation account for a large proportion of our carbon emissions. In drawing down emissions, there will be benefits to jobs and investment in industry, producing new green jobs. And as greenhouse gases are reduced, there will be important improvements in public health and air quality. Being carbon neutral would be more than a catchy phrase. It would bring multiple positive outcomes for our city. Climate change does not stop at city, state, and national borders. We share one small hurting planet. Doing what we can in our city is a start, and you can do that by supporting a fully funded, uncut CLCPA. Thank you.
Bradley Ferguson from the South District.
Good evening. I'm also speaking in support of the memorializing resolution for the CLCPA because we cannot afford to not act on climate change. As if I needed further convincing of that, I got caught in a torrential downpour riding my bike here tonight, and climate change is known to make extreme rainfall events worse. But that's not really what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about how climate action and energy affordability can go hand in hand. I ask you to consider our RG&E bills as an example. Back in January 2021, my RG&E bill was $146. In January 2026, it was $399. That's an increase of almost 300% in 5 years. This increase, I should say the main reason for this increase was not our CLCPA. It was first that we have a perverse system that incentivizes our utilities to delay making grid upgrades until their rate case comes up, and then they can ask for huge rate increases. Second, it's the huge increase in the price of natural gas, which accounts for not only our main source of heating our homes, but also our main source of generating electricity. The price of natural gas, regardless of how many pipelines we build, is set by the international market. And I see no sign that that price is going down anytime soon. So the solution to the energy affordability problem is not maintaining our dependence on gas, but transitioning to renewable energy. The wind is free, sunlight is free, and we have the technology to effectively harness these sources of energy. Taking our CLCPA goal of getting to 70% renewable energy by 2030 and pushing it back to 2040, which our governor has asked to do, that's the opposite of what we need to do. We need to transition to renewables, so I urge all of you to vote yes for the resolution supporting the CLCPA.
Sylvia Gasoy from the South District, followed by Heidi Butler.
Good evening, fellow employers of the RPD. I call on you to reinstate all of the Police Accountability Board principles. We all need protection and greatly appreciate when it is provided. But we need to know how protection is perceived and employed. History informs us of who militias protect and from whom. We know that race, class, gender identity, as well as civil protests, can generate excessive negative force. I have read the RPD response to PAB inquiries. They're convincing, but don't preclude knowing and being informed about all operations. We need accounting from our employees. And we don't need military weaponry on our streets and homes. Thank you.
Heidi Butler from the South District.
Hello, my name is Heidi Butler. I live in Rochester. I'm a member of Color Rochester Green. Maybe you can see by my t-shirt. I'm here to urge the council to pass a memorializing resolution in support of the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. Why? Because when this law was passed in 2019, our state was poised to become a leader in stemming the existential threat of global warming. The law is now in danger of being weakened by our governor. Little progress has been made since 2019, in large part because due to the governor's disregard for the Cap and Invest program, which requires the largest fossil fuel companies to pay for the privilege of emitting greenhouse gases. 1/3 of this money is to be invested in disadvantaged communities. We are one of those communities. Though it was the governor who championed Cap and Invest in 2022, the program has not advanced even to the regulation stage, which she now wants to put off further. I could go on about the problems with the governor's handling of climate issues. But I want to say again, New York has not come close to meeting the goals of the CLCPA with only a 23% reduction in emissions so far. Governor Hochul, who is now in closed budget sessions with the state legislature, maintains that we must walk back on the climate law because moving forward with renewable energy is too expensive. Greenhouse gas accumulation and the resulting global warming are far more expensive. Already, New York State has lost $1.4 billion annually and 594 lives due to extreme weather events since 1996. Renewable energy is cheaper, healthier, and faster. Please pass this resolution.
A.J. Josephson from the East District, followed by Barbara Dietz.
Hello, my name is A.J. Jocelson. I live on Edgerton Street. First, I want to echo the statements made and upcoming in favor of preserving and supporting both the Police Accountability Board and the CLCPA. Second, I'm here today with Rochester for Energy Democracy and a simple message. Rochester cannot take another round of rate hikes from RG&E. RG&E is currently lobbying the New York Public Service Commission to raise utility rates by an additional 34% over the next 3 years, as well as asking to raise their corporate profit margin to a whopping 10%. That's millions of dollars that are being taken out of Monroe County every year and funneled back to the Iberdrola Corporation in Spain. For a lot of individuals and families, affording utility bills now comes at the expense of groceries, rent, and childcare. These proposed rate hikes will come down from the state anytime now, likely within the month. This is a financial noose choking out my family and others. Rochester has the third highest utility cost burden in the entire United States. There are motions to dismiss these rate cases with responses due later this week. Our state assembly members, Jen Lunsford, Sarah Clark, and Harry Bronson, have already written to the governor asking for reductions in utility prices. The city of Rochester must also put pressure on the governor and the PSC, making similar demands, and push to create regulations so that RG&E cannot continue to fail financial audits while increasing their own pay. Well, my neighbors have to choose between heating and eating. So I'm here to ask, support our ability to pay our rent over the profit margins of overseas shareholders, and use your status as elected officials to directly pressure the governor and the Public Service Commission to reject the electric and gas rate cases. Thank you.
Barbara Dietz. Barbara Dietz. Ian Benz from the East District.
Good evening, members of the council. My name is Ian Benz, and I'm here to ask the council to support the Police Accountability Board. While I am a current employee at the PAB, I'm here as a member of the PAB Union, a city resident, and a member of the public. My statement is my own. I've been at the PAB since the beginning. My coworkers and I, who started in 2022, came in bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to do the work that 75% of voters approved, and inspired by the prospect of providing a new example of what civilian oversight of law enforcement can look like. While I worked through the issues surrounding the early days, including the loss of disciplinary power and now the loss of investigatory power, I also witnessed countless beautiful moments of joy amidst the struggle. I helped organize the union campaign. I was there when we opened our doors to receive complaints from the public, when we released the first batch of investigative reports to the public, as well as the various policy projects that have educated our community around policing since. The tremendous amount of the tremendous amount of adversity this work has faced, and the amazing work my colleagues have produced in spite of the circumstances, is inspiring and has had a measured impact. The fight for neutral third-party investigations of police misconduct is a mandate that the community gave us in 2019 and is far from over. As a member of this community, I'm asking the council to please fight to uphold the will of the voters and the decades of activism that went into this. Please appeal the most recent court decision suspending investigative authority to the next circuit. I'm also asking the council to fund the PAB and not lay off any staff who hold the institutional knowledge that is vital for this work to continue. The work of the last 4 years, let alone everything that came before it, has led us to this moment. This is the 0 hour. I know that I'm not alone in believing that this can still work. The question now is anyone in this room alone in believing that it can't? Thank you.
Mary Elliott. From the South District, followed by Marcus C. Williams.
Good evening. My name is Mary Elliott. I'm an employee of the PAB and a member of the PAB Union, but I'm speaking here on my own behalf as a constituent and a voter. I'm not representing or speaking on behalf of the agency. I've worked for the PAB for over 4 years now, and throughout that time, I've witnessed both struggle and perseverance. The PAB has faced the exact same struggles civilian oversight agencies face all over the country. Budget cuts, staffing cuts, internal and external disagreements, legal battles, erosion of powers, and resistance. Despite these hurdles, the PAB has endured by centering our mission and the community we serve. The recent affirmation of the loss of our investigatory powers is one of the most difficult setbacks we've faced yet. I urge the council to approve an appeal so we can continue to advocate for police oversight with investigative powers for New York State, for Rochester, and for across the nation. Such court decisions set a dangerous precedent, and it's our duty to continue this fight by appealing to the New York State Court of Appeals. In the meantime, I also ask that we work to maintain our current staffing levels. I've had the privilege of collaborating with some of the most intelligent, driven, and creative individuals during my time at the PAB. There is much work to be done with the powers we currently hold, and losing any agency institutional knowledge and expertise would be a significant blow to the PAB and the city of Rochester as a whole. Lastly, I'm confident that we all share the same goal: a safer and more equitable Rochester. The PAB is an essential part of achieving that vision. I respectfully request that the City Council honor the commitment to police oversight that the people of Rochester have fought for decades by approving the appeal, maintaining our funding, and maintaining our current staffing levels. Thank you very much for your time.
Marcus C. Williams from the South District, followed by Shelley Martell.
Hey everybody, Marcus C. Williams here. So I've come tonight to speak again about the biometric surveillance and limiting it. Will any of you be willing to sponsor the bill that I have proposed? I made the edits and everything that was requested by everybody on City Council that responded back with input on the document. I'm waiting to hear back, but I'd like to see how we could get this moved forward considerably soon, because we see every day more and more cameras, more surveillance, more drones, AI dogs, all types of crazy stuff, more and more every day. And this is a serious thing. It's here right now. We need to address it. So please let me know if you'd be willing to actually carry this into committee or whatever the next step would be, whether that's legal or whatever. So please let me know on that. And I'd like to talk more about that, but real quick, everybody's talking about this RG&E issue and the CCLPA and all of this nonsense, okay? The CCLPA is the reason why the RG&E rates are going up, but nobody seems to want to actually talk about that. The continued shutdown of all of the power plants and stuff like that, that is a big part of it. All of these natural gas pipelines that have been killed off, as Brady earlier actually talked about, all of this is why our rates are going up. This is the state assembly. This is the state senate. These are the people who are putting in place all of these policies that are shutting down these energy resources before we have anything to replace them. How are you going to shut it down and then replace it with half of what is replaceable? This doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't do that. We need to either fully replace it and then retire stuff or whatever. But right now, putting money into a study makes no sense because we don't generate the energy. If we're not generating the energy, then it doesn't matter. We're still going to be subordinate to whoever's generating the energy, which is not us. Thank you.
Shelley Martell from the South District, followed by Stephen DeMellis.
On behalf of Joan, Joan is exercising her patience and trust with the citywide social care network program, exchanging opportunity and provisions for those that need the most to be housed. She was promised rental payments for tenants in apartment 3 at 564 Charlotte Avenue. Instead, the citywide social care network program has been negligent, irresponsible, lately non-responsive, and quite fraudulent. When finally responding to Joan, spoke stating, evict them, and put the buzzword out offering this an explanation. The program, money, and funds ran out. Once Joan followed up and realized that that was BS and a bunch of malarkey, Joan concluded it's a better idea to bring this attention to the matter of the entire public, City of Rochester residents, the council, and media, prompting a criminal investigation into the person stealing the money and funding. Stop sweeps. They show lack of confidence in judgment, leadership, and character. Furthermore, when can Joan expect her owed rent payments? Social Care Network Program, AKA FLIPA. No one is coming forward because in the beginning, when the program was vital and up and running, the people that got some relief and very little help, now they're afraid to tell. Thank you. Pay the lady. I recognize it's not Beatrice at Father's Tracy, but that is the connection between Joan and the Social Care Network, aka Flipper. Pay the lady. Thank you.
Stephen DeMellis, Northwest District, followed by Carlton Huff.
Hello, my name is Stephen. I'm a proud Rochester native, and I'm here today asking the City Council appeal the ruling stripping the Police Accountability Board of its investigatory power. On top of that, I ask that the downsizing of the board be halted. The Police Accountability Board wasn't gifted to the people of Rochester. We fought for it and we voted for it, hoping to heal deep scars and to foster a trust that many feel has been lost. The establishment of the board was seen as a strong first step in the right direction, a sign that the City of Rochester was committed to turning over a new leaf. However, the board getting stripped of its resources, facing hurdle after hurdle, and losing its main tools for actually holding bad actors accountable also serves as signs that when the people come together seeking to improve their community, that when they vote for real and effective change, the best they can hope for are empty gestures. That there are those of us who are above accountability, and to challenge this is foolhardy. I am here to ask that the City Council affirm that this is not the case, that our voices do matter, that the members here are committed to carrying out the will of the citizens. Stop the budget cuts, stop the layoffs, file the appeal. Thank you.
Carlton Huff from the Northwest District, followed by Ames Grigg.
All right. Yeah, my name is Carlton Huff. I actually am in the East District. I'm not sure what happened there, so I'm in Councilmember Lubien's district. But I'm here today to speak in a personal capacity for a full disclaimer. As of about 2 months ago, I am on staff at Metro Justice, but I'm actually here because I had talked to someone today as part of that job, and it just really kind of shook me up quite a bit. So the gentleman I talked to today basically has been on a payment billing plan with RG&E, is facing shutoff, is currently trying to provide for his elderly father who lives with him, is paying for his meds several hundreds of dollars a month, and has been having to choose between his RG&E bill and, fulfilling his payment plan and his father's meds. He's also in his slow season of work, went through a divorce recently, and it's just really been struggling. And I've just been hearing from a lot of people the same lines. I've been hearing from people who've gone to HEAP, who've gone through all of the proper channels to seek assistance and have just gotten very little, have gotten $25 from HEAP, which is kind of a joke of an amount of money. And so I'm just here today asking, not for anything really to do with a public utility, but just to stop the bleed in terms of RG&E. And I think the most immediate way to do that is to continue to use your voice, as I know you've done in the past in the fall, to oppose the rate hikes by any means necessary. Urge the Public Service Commission not to approve the electric and gas rate cases. And I would also just shout out what other people have said on the CLCPA. I think investing in renewables is the only way that in the long term energy prices can go down, or at least maintain and not continue going up forever and ever. So that's all. Thank you.
Amos Grigg. Amos Griggs. Pastor Wanda Wilson from the East District, followed by Peter Peters.
Good evening. Good evening, Council. I'm here tonight to stand in solidarity with the PAB Workers Union and also on behalf of our community. To ask that Council will fully fund the PAB, stop the layoffs, appeal the removal of investigative authority before the deadline on April 22nd. And I'm also going to ask that you would seek legal representation for the PAB that is not in conflict with Corporation Counsel. And I know you know what I mean. 75% of this community fought for the existence of civilian oversight. I've been doing this for 10 years. And I'm tired, honestly, but I'm going to stay in the struggle. I'm staying in the struggle because there was a strong voice, the community voice, faith leaders, lawyers, CBOs, you name it. We were in this room for 3.5 years. We did everything that the council asked us to do. When we first started, we were told we were just a small, biased group of people. So we grew it. We grew it to over 50, 70 community-based organizations, individuals. Then we were told, well, when you come in, make sure that you act appropriately. So we did. We act appropriately. We protested the way that would make people feel comfortable, I guess. But we did all of that because we understood how important civilian oversight is to this city. We understood the people, especially in black and brown communities, that were being abused by the police in this city. So tonight I stand here before you to remind you that we got a 9-0 vote in 2019. They heard the voice of the community. So I'm not yelling at you, I'm just trying to remind you and ask you to please consider that.
Your time is up.
It's not always about the numbers, but this community showed up and did what was expected, and now we're expecting you to do the right thing.
Peter Peters of the East District.
Good evening, council members. 4 years ago, I stood before you to make the case that housing should be viewed as a human right. Affordability and support are factors that make market housing is simply failing to address. In 10 years working with guests at Reach, the one thing that struck me time and time again was how hard it was to match our guests with housing that met their needs. Visiting many of our guests after they moved, many were in apartments that were not well maintained, in dingy neighborhoods with little supportive care available. I found myself reading about other cities in the U.S. where local government was taking the initiative to see that there was an adequate supply of affordable housing and supportive housing to meet the needs of this special segment of our population. I wondered why this could not happen here in Rochester. To me, this is a moral question. If we agree that housing is a human right, who will take care of those who need not only affordable housing, but housing that meets their needs as they seek healing from mental illness or an addiction? My appeal to you is that you see this moral issue as one that requires a civic answer. You have the task of shaping our civic life. Will you collectively find the political will to address this civic challenge? I am a religious person, and that housing is a human right. Hospitality to the stranger is deeply embedded in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. I am convinced that with your leadership, faith communities will rise to support a plan to systemically change how we look at housing. I urge you to build on the work of President Melendez and build a conversation which will take seriously the idea that housing is a human right.
Kevin Yoist. Kevin Yoist. From the town of Henrietta.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Yost, 1474 Meadow Road, town of Henrietta. Good evening.
whether you live in a city or not, the downtown parks this is Russ's downtown is the hub of the region, just the same as the county and city parks that are at the south end and north end of the city. I agree with preserving 125 Charlotte Street as a park and the benches there and having game board tables there, as well as reconnecting the two sections of University Avenue when the Interloop North is done away with, expanding that park, Anderson Park there, which I feel should be named Dr. David Anderson Park after the chair of the Western Monroe County Freedom Trail Commission. And we want to build housing, reconnect Hags Alley, Richmond Street, and Parker Alley there, and have housing there as you do Charlotte and Pickens Street between those blocks. And I feel that Parcel 5 should be a permanent park combined with Midtown Commons. It should be called Midtown Commons, a permanent park, and it should be a spine of parks from Genesee Crossroads Park, the skate park, Washington Square Park, Martin Luther King Park, Cornerstone Park, Midtown Commons that should absorb Parcel 5, St. Joseph's Park, and Schiller Park, in addition to parks that create a new parkway where the Interloop is from East Main Street and Union Street to a roundabout at Grape Street, Jefferson Avenue, and Maple Avenue. Thank you.
Jennifer Goheen. From the town of Arundecoit, followed by Brenda Lyons.
Good evening. Good evening, council members. Am I audible? I want to start by saying that the county has let us down. And in parentheses, that a foe of RG&E rate hikes is a friend of the people, and in general, a friend of RG&E is an enemy, is not our friend. I don't need to tell you, you know the burden placed on low-income families by high rates, poor service, and an outrageous rate of shutoffs. Our county legislature, in failing year after year to fund a public power feasibility study, betrays the influence of the incestuous and corrupt relationship between certain office holders, and Avangrid. Now they want to put a monster data center to add to our power grid that they're not even maintaining. Given the county's betrayal of the ratepayers, the people they nominally represent, it falls to this body to step up to protect residents from a rapacious, incompetent, heartless, insatiable, predatory, and, as I've said it before, parasitic, foreign-owned corporation. Please oppose rate hikes by RG&E. Thank you.
Brenda Lyons. From the town of Brighton, followed by Amy D'Amico.
Hello. My name is Brenda Lyons.
Excuse me, can you pull the mic down a little bit?
Oh, sure. Can you hear me? Usually I don't need a mic, but I'm from West Brighton. There's a big difference between West Brighton and Brighton. But anyway, that's not why I'm here. I've given you all an invitation. The invitation is to come with my friend Edwin and Charlene. We are part of Rochester Grants Past Resistance. Within that, we are grassroots. We are the traveling deli, the three of us. We provide hot and cold meals to homeless folks. I have provided you with invites. We know that you are well aware of some of the issues. We know that already. I don't know what you're doing about it, but we are asking that you all come and join us at your convenience, one at a time, down to North Clinton Avenue. How about Monroe Avenue? How about Lyle Avenue? We serve hot foods. In the summertime, we serve cold foods. We provide clothing. We provide friendship and hugs because we know the folks that we serve, because they trust us now, because we've been doing it for 3 years, and we've been consistent. So it's easy to sit and listen, but why not come out with us, the 3 of us, and see what it's really like? Oh, that was good. Thank you.
Amy D'Amico from the town of Fairport, followed by Angel Castillo.
I'm here to talk on 2 issues tonight. One is the Police Accountability Board. In 2019, as you know, 75% of voters approved the Police Accountability Board's creation in a public referendum, and it was created. City council members seem to be asking now, why fund the PAB when an appellate court stripped it of its investigatory powers, and when the Court of Appeals took away its disciplinary powers. I think the PAB does need to regroup, learn more about civil service laws, and how the PAB fits into that framework. But it's still the best solution for the community's desire for accountability for a law enforcement agency. That means PAB must stay in the police or in the city budget. Concurrently, the city must fight to uphold its publicly supported Police Accountability Board. Give PAB the means and the mechanism to regroup. The city law department must appeal the removal of investigatory power of the Police Accountability Board in the court by April 22nd deadline. And the city's negotiations with the Locust Club Police Union should not be allowed to override the public's rights. I'm also here to talk about homelessness, another accountability issue. Council President Melendez, thank you for beginning an investigation into the homelessness public health crisis here. The cure to homelessness is housing that's made possible either through restraints on the private market or through the provision of public subsidized housing. The answer is never a sweep of an encampment. The Melendez report begins to shine a light on the public health problem of homelessness. It is on all of you in the upcoming budget discussions to propose housing solutions and low barrier shelter solutions. Stop sweeping homelessness out of sight. It is not out of mind. We will not forget the plight of our houseless neighbors, and we will not forget what you do or don't do as you make budget decisions to solve or to ignore this public health crisis. Thank you.
Angel Castillo from the town of Fairport, followed by Amber Van Duzer.
Primeramente, buenas noches, mi nombre es Castillo. No hablo mucho inglés, lo hablo, pero si me pongo a hablar para inglés nunca termino. Soy una persona homeless, soy deambulante y pues, pero no utilizo droga. Y así como yo, muchas personas no utilizan droga. Muchas personas, okay, yo soy deambulante, muchas personas no utilizan droga.
He says he's currently homeless and not all homeless people use drugs.
Y allá, así como están ellos aquí, ellos están al frente, o algún día pueden estar aquí detrás, aquí como yo.
He says the same way that you're standing before him, you might be standing in the same place.
Así como en la cárcel, la droga y o sea, en cualquier sitio.
He says drugs are everywhere, jails, even in the community.
Yo he visto doctores, he visto padres, curas, o sea, terminan utilizando droga.
He says he's seen doctors and even priests using drugs.
O sea, conocer la conciencia.
And it's part of the consciousness of
Ahora mismo
the addiction.
mucho policía abusando.
He says there's a lot of police officers
Yo he,
that
rec-
are abusing it as well.
yo he perdido todo y, o sea, y la ayuda que he recibido, la policía me ha quitado todo.
He says he has literally lost everything due to the police officers.
Y cuando hablo con el county o sea, no me dan, me dicen, no me dan respuesta.
He says that he's spoken with county and they're not giving him any answers.
Acuérdense que tú pueden ser sus hijos algún día, pueden ser ustedes hasta sus padres, que Dios no quiera.
To please remember that the same way that he is standing before you homeless, there are people, even yourselves, that can become the same way.
Bless you. Thank you.
Bless you.
Amber Van Duser. From Town of Fairport.
My name's Amber Van Duser. I was previously homeless. I do have housing now, but it was difficult to get. And I also tried to get housing before I was on the streets because I knew that my mother was not going to let me stay there very long. But since I was not homeless already, I had to wait until I was homeless. And that took, after I was homeless, that took a year to get housing. It was also difficult to get an apartment because the rent allowance for housing is not keeping up with the inflation of today, and most of the apartments that are available are either not very good or very small, or something else is wrong with it, or the landlords don't care to fix it up. So that's why I live in Fairport now. Another thing that I wanted to touch on was that being homeless, the transportation is an issue. There are places that you can go to eat and get food, but when you have no money, you have no way to get there. So you're stuck wherever you are. Budgeting, I think, maybe could help people get transportation around, and the sweeps as well. When the police officers go to sweep these places, they are taking people's homes and everything that they have. They need to hopefully contact people. If there's some way that we could get like a contact list, like a first name and a phone number only for these people, so that